Hey besties, welcome back to the Cozy Corner. It's your girl Jen, and if you're new here, welcome. Just a regular old college student and Kelsey Dominguez. But if you're not new here, welcome back to the chaos. So, if you remember, well, honestly, if you watched my last video, you may have heard me say something along the lines of like, oh, I want to do like a TBR wrap up from like the months of July leading up until now. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. And I figure, why not? Because I don't have the books with me, or I do, but like they're packed. Figure why not like do a get ready with me slash TBR wrap up while I like have the books on the screen somewhere. Does that make sense? Are y'all feeling the vibe? I got like my literally got out of the shower a little bit ago. My hair's still in a knot, not in a knot, in a not in a knot, in a knot. I'm sorry, not in a knot, but it's in the towel thing. So I'm gonna take it out, put my little what do you guys call these? Put them down in the comments. Headbands, I guess. Yeah, put the headband on, and then we'll get started on the makeup. So literally not going anywhere today, but why not? Okay, so since the month of June, I have not really posted anything. I think I posted like a June TBR wrap up and a July TBR and then an August TBR, but I never really posted wrap ups for any of those. So, um, I honestly don't really remember half the books that I read. I can tell you what I rated them because I went back into my Goodreads and put like actual not ratings on them, but like I went to my Goodreads and looked at the ratings that I put on there, and then I put them in my like 2025 TBR document that I have right here. If you don't know, I'm kind of weird. I like to be really structured because ADHD. Hello, hey girly, and I like to put my TBRs in a document. So that's why when I mentioned some things like, oh, my TBR is like already set for the year, that's because I put it in a document and I set myself structured books that it's like it's structured, but it's not strict, if that makes sense, right? So like I'll have like a list of books that I'll have for the next month that I'm going to read, or for like all the months until December, but that doesn't mean I can't add books there. It just means that if I do add books there, I need to be aware of how many books that I add to that month's TBR, because if I put like a lot of books out there, that means I'm probably going to have to read all those books. Not being super strict, but like, if I have 16 books, like October's TBR, why not have the time to read them? You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I pardon my hair because I just got out of the shower. So it was hair wash day. It was like an everything day. And so she's a little wet and crazy right now. But aren't we all? Aren't we all? Anyways, so I figure since there are a lot of books on here, we're kind of going to go month by month, obviously. But I figure like, how many months was it since my September TBR? So 1 July, 2, 3. Oh, okay, there's only 3. So July, August, September. Yeah, that makes sense. So it looks like most of the most books that I read were in July and August. And then September, as we kind of know, since I've like mentioned it a few times, I only read like 5 books. Technically 4 books, but like we're not going to talk about it because we'll talk about it in a second, right? So what I figure is, since it takes the longest to do my base and my kind of like just my base, right? So I guess I could try to like figure out how I want to structure this video, right? So like I could do my foundation, primer, and yeah, that makes sense. So like primer, foundation, bronzer, blush, talk about 1 month, and then next month do bronzer. I'm sorry, do like the powder, and like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so look, we can get started with this damn video, right? So starting with the primer, whatever. July was kind of like the month where I kind of decided to quit the series that I was reading. If you don't know, in the summer, I think for like 2 or 3 months, I went on this beautiful endeavor to try to read Jennifer L. Armentrout's Fire in the Flesh and no, I'm sorry, Flesh and Fire and Blood and Ash series. I quit, guys. I'm so sorry. I could not. I know that I only had like 5 or 6 books until the end, but that's 5 and 6 books before the end. And I'm pretty sure that the series is not finished, question mark. I think like she still has a couple more books that she wants to release. And for the people that love the books, I love that for you. It's just not for me. And that's okay. That's okay. Listen, so look, I already knew that going in that this series was going to be a bit of an interesting like ride, because people either loved this series or hated this series, and I wanted to see where I stood in that spectrum. Talking about being on the spectrum, I'll tell you. I'm just kidding. So like I think June or May, or like the end of May is when I started it, but the I think July is when I was just like, listen, this is not for me. So I'm just going to talk about the books that I read in July, obviously, but The only two books that I read and from that entire thing, I can't even tell you what like series it landed on. If you love this series and understand it and then I'm butchering it, I'm so sorry. Tell me in the comments and hate on me, but I'm so sorry. Reading is subjective, you guys. Listen. But I started in July with the A Fire in the Flesh. Again, I can't really tell you like what the damn series was about just because it was so freaking long ago, but I can tell you there was way too much spice in it. Listen, so like in the in the Benigings, in the first series, we're following Poppy and Castile, and Poppy is like some maiden, and like she's supposed to be like a super pure person. That's not actually what happens, but it doesn't matter because we don't know that yet, right? So she ends up wandering into a tavern nearby, sneaks out of her palace, like, you know, like we all did as a kid. And then she meets this guy in it wasn't even a bar. It was not even a tavern either. It was like a red light district type of vibe. She goes into this little like building. People are drinking, but she kind of wants to experience, you know, being an adult and stuff, as we all do. We've all had our first, like, you know, walk into a bar. She ends up accidentally, or was it accidental? We don't know. We did, but you'll figure that out yourself. She ends up accidentally having some spicy moments with this guy in a bar. And little does she know that this person is actually going to be her guard because of things that I don't want to spoil. Because if you actually do want to read the series, go read it your damn self and have your own opinion. It doesn't, like, the first few books aren't bad, I promise. It's just like as you go on, the series really drags out, and I'm just like, all right, bestie, get to the damn point. I'm pretty sure I can like finish this series in my head and not care about the actual outcomes. But being besides the point, they end up going on like adventures and stuff and whatever, and then like a whole bunch of stuff happens, which, you know, it's a very, very, very long series. So like, you know, of course a bunch of stuff happens. I'm talking like more than 10 or 12 or 15 books. So it's like a lot of stuff happens between those like huge, huge chunks of pages and stuff like that. Besides the point though, I'm not sure where in the Flesh and Fire, I'm sorry, a Fire, yes, the Flesh and Fire series or the Blood and Ash series, these two books lie. So I'm just going to tell you what I rated them because, again, I have no idea what they were about. I do know that the second book, though, was from the Fire and Ash. No, Fire in the Flesh, A Flesh and Fire. There we go. Again, like so many of these freaking, the titles of these books and the titles of these series like blend together. So I'm just like, listen, I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm trying here, right? So Flesh and Fire series was the second book that I'm talking about here. But for the first book, I don't know where it lands. So let's just stop yapping and like, you know, get to the point, right, Jen? So A Fire in the Flesh, again, I have no idea where it lands. I rated that a 3.75 stars. Mind you, at this point, I was still like barely getting into my job. So it's like I wasn't really reading a lot in general. And like the books that I was reading, I was like, I don't know what this is about. You know, I'm kind of just, you know, losing interest. But I rated that at 3.75 stars. Clearly wasn't too bad because I didn't DNF it yet. I, again, don't DNF series, don't DNF books. I really, really try not to because I want to give the book a fair shot and I want to give myself a fair shot to enjoy the book. But if I really, really, really don't like the series, I will DNF it because that's exactly what happened with the next book. So, Born of Blood and Ash, again, I really, really wanted to like this series. I'm so sorry to the people that love this series to death. Like, I know Mariana Moore loves this freaking book. And I know that, not the book, but like the series. And I know that Lit by Lauren, go check those girls out because they are awesome. But she read the new, I think it was like Born of Blood and Ash, something like that. It might be the same book that I read. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, bestie. They both love the series and like, you know, the whole thing. Like they're for it, and I love that for them, but it's just not for me, right? That's totally fine. But I DNF this book at 15%, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Listen though. 15% I think needs more than 100 pages, and if not, go ahead and roast me in the comments. But I tried to give this book a fair shot. I just don't think it was for me, and that's okay. We need to be okay with things that are not for you. So I just remember being at work one day and like being on my break and reading this and literally putting it down and going to do something else with my break because I, again, could not get into this book. And I'm, again, so sorry. That could have been due to a whole bunch of factors, but you know, I said what I said, and at the end of the day, I just want to move on. I will not be continuing the series. Maybe in like a few years, I'll try to pick up the series again. I kind of doubt it though, because I got so irritated that I think in, I want to say like end of July, early August, I straight up gave this whole series back to Book Off. Mind you, it's hilarious because I originally got this series from Book Off. So I ended up getting like some of my money back and like just going to purchase some other books and calling it a day. I will say the people that like, because when you go, if you don't know what Book Off is, it's like a secondhand bookstore, and you can either trade in books for cash or yes, it's cash. I don't think they send it to you like on debit card or whatever, but they they give the money back to you in cash, and it's also a secondhand bookstore, so you can like buy books and other things like that. They have like manga. They're like really known for not just their books, but like their manga section, their anime figures. Some like there's a book off in Costa Mesa that has like, or at least when I was younger, had like a lot of what do you call it, like whatever genre of things that guitars and musical instruments that are plugged in would fall under. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because when I was a kid, I think I bought my first guitar there. I don't play guitar. I think it was just like a phase that I was trying to go through. But they do have those things there. So yeah, that's Book Off, right? And so I ended up bringing the entire series back. I was like, I'm so sorry, I can't do it. They were like, I guess, the tender was just like, I have no idea what this lady's talking about. But anyways, I'm talking too damn much about a series I don't even like, so let's just move the fuck on. So next we have The Score by L. Kennedy. There we go. So around this time, what do you call it? Around this time, my like during the school year, at least before school let out, my like it's kind of weird because we're not really anymore, but I guess we're still technically in a book club. But like my book club besties were like, hey, let's start a series. We were like a totally new book club. We were trying to figure out what we wanted to read and whatever the heck else. And we were like, we're gonna be out of school for a couple months, so why not pick a series that we can read like a book every month and then talk about it when we come back to school. Y'all, it's like halfway through the semester. I think we're on week like 8 or 9, and we have not met to like talk about this book. We still hang out, not hang out, but like we still hit each other up, in our classes and outside of the classes over text. Like we have not had a book club meeting, and that's okay. Girlies are just girlies, and we're just doing our best because school is crazy, right? So anyways, I read The Score by L. Kennedy. I don't really know where in the I think it's called like Off Campus. Yeah, the Off Campus series. I'm not really sure where The Score lands within that series, but I do know that it's honestly kind of like hot Cheetos and junk food. Like this is like it's a palate cleanser book for me, and it's kind of exactly what I needed after I DNF'd the Flash and Fire and Blood and Ash series, and it's exactly what I freaking needed. So I rated The Score 3.75 stars. I literally read the entire off-campus series, save for one, because I just felt like the last book, I think, is called The Legacy, and it's just like a bunch of short stories from all of the characters, and I just didn't really feel like picking it up because it is a longer book than the rest of the books, but it's fine. It's fine. Rated that 3.75 stars. This is back, like July is back when I was still doing, what do you call it, my Goodreads giveaway thing. So like, if you don't know, Goodreads has a giveaway section where you can apply for these giveaways, and they're not like super extensive applications. You just need to have a Goodreads account and apply, like literally click apply for it. And they have a whole bunch of books that they do applications for the giveaways for every day. And then like I think the timer for me, at least, this is talking like West Coast Pacific time. I live in California, if you didn't know. But at 12 o'clock midnight for me, my time, the giveaways for the next day get released. So I was doing like a bunch of like, I was entering a lot of giveaways. So let's just say that. And did I win a lot of them? Not really. I won a lot of like Kindle giveaways, and I really want to set time aside one year. Yeah, 1 year, one day to read some of these books because I want to like discover new authors and discover new books that I like and enjoy and whatever the heck else. So one day I'll do them. Maybe we'll see, right? But Seven for a Secret is a book that I actually got physically as an ARC from insert author up here somewhere, right? And this is a book that hadn't come out yet. This was an ARC that I received, and I was actually really excited for it because, y'all, I'm not whatsoever like a big channel. I do not receive. Ooh, if the audio quality here is super bad, I am so sorry. The mic was like, fucking with me, bro. Editing this later is gonna be a bitch and a half because if I have to go back and freaking talk about this, I'm gonna cry. The audio quality is fucked because I'm messing with my mic by accident. I'm so sorry, you guys. What was I talking about? So Seven for a Secret, right? Um, it was an arc that I received physically, and I was really excited to read it because I'm not a super like I'm nowhere near like a super huge like booktube creator. Like I have no my subscribers are little, right? They're little and none. So if you really want to like this video, like the video and go subscribe because then we can be friends and, hang out and talk. And, I try to upload videos once a week. I'm just going to, stop like simping over myself, right? And like, move the fuck on. Seven for a Secret is about, how do I say this without giving it away? I'm pretty sure it's out already, but essentially 7 girls went missing one day, and these girls like all lived in an orphanage. And, what do you call it? Like, again, they go missing one day and then one comes back, and then she's like, everyone left from the orphanage that didn't get taken away. When they see this girl returned, they're like, hey, bestie, what happened? Are you good? This girl was very like rightfully traumatized, but the entire like years pass, and the girl who got taken, the main girl, she ends up going back to the town where she grew up, the orphanage, to support this other girl who was part of like the orphanage, who became like a journalist of some sort. And the journalist girl wanted to go back to the town so that she could like do a story on what happened, right? So main girl and journalist girl go all the way back, and then they like it's interesting because the journalist girl is there to figure out what happened to the 7 girls that disappeared. Here's the twist though. What does the missing girl that came back know? What was the real story behind what happened? And that's exactly what you find out at the very end, y'all. This is like my first actual like mystery book, and this is like girls rage. This is like female rage in the best form. Talks about a lot of trauma. So if you ever feel like you're, something might trigger you, take a mental health day before you read this, but also read the trigger warnings because, I told you in advance. Okay, listen. So, yeah, definitely really had a fun time with this book. I gave it 4.5 stars. The ending at the end, oh, it was so good. It was so good. It was deserved, and I loved it. Yeah, so that's Seven for a Secret. I took a chance on Jamie, and of course I would. Jamie Falk, if you don't know, is a book person on YouTube. There we go. Get the shit straight, Jen. Highly recommend going to check her out. She's amazing, and I love her content. Sorry, this is going to be a simping video over my favorite YouTuber. Leave me alone. So listen, I went to read A Song to Drown Rivers because she recommended it, of course. And y'all, this was a 5 stars. I still want to cry when I read this book. When I think about this book. So if you don't know, it's based off of, I believe, Chinese folklore, Chinese story from, Chinese mythology story, if that makes sense, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. And essentially we're following a female girl who ends up like meeting this guy, and she goes undercover. Not really sure, like there's some jumbled information going on in my brain for exactly how this book goes because it has been a while since I've read it. But this girl essentially goes undercover to a kingdom to make this like tyrant king fall in love with her so that she can afterwards, right? But before she leaves, there's like this beautiful love story that kind of like, the yearning, you guys. Like, listen, okay, look, there is a bit of a love triangle, but don't think it like that. Like, it does not end in that way. It ends in a way that is so unexpected. And at the end, I was sobbing at work, y'all. I was in the break room. I was crying in the club. Let me just tell you, I was crying in the break room club. Okay. So it's a beautiful story. She ends up like seducing the king, and kind of has like this not like morally gray moments, but like these moments of like, hey, this king really sucks, but he's not actually a bad guy. It's just like the way he was raised and brainwashed, and this is all that he knows. And he's also a bit juvenile. That's a good word to use, because he's kind of like, he has these very childish behaviors that when certain things happen, he kind of like acts in a very childish way. And the main at the FMC kind of almost takes on like a motherly figure, but she ends up seducing him. They end up, having their times. But at the very end of the day, when all is said and done, she ends up going home, and the MMC that she meets is there, and the ending where they're supposed to meet up and have their HEA. Oh God, it was so sad. Let me just tell you that. I don't even want to say it because it's not like, it is an HEA, but it's not. It's an HEA off paper, and you can just let that be for yourself. But you guys, just be prepared, because this beautiful story is gonna kick you in the nuts. If you have nuts, if you don't, kick you in the tits. Okay, it's gonna hurt you, and it's gonna be okay, because it's gonna be okay. Okay, so listen, stop crying over the damn book, Jen. Next, I delve into the Caraval trilogy. I like the series, but okay, there's a but, right? So we're following two sisters. I don't really remember the names, and I'm so sorry. Jackson. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I cannot. I'm gonna put the sisters up here somewhere, and if I don't remember, oh, Evangeline is one of them. That's all I remember. I'm so sorry, but essentially, this is like a it's really interesting and like hard to explain because it's been so long ago, but it's kind of like a competition story. I've read like a lot of competition stories this year, and I think like this was one of them. That like this was like the one that I started with, right? But essentially, two girls and like two sisters end up entering a competition, but one of the sisters goes missing, and then the big sister trying to find her little sister, kind of like if you've read Caraval, if you've read Once Upon a Broken Heart, if you've read what's the next one, the last one that I just recently read, Phantasma, there you go. It kind of starts similar. It has similar plots. Like an older sister is trying to find a little sister, and then the little sister has her own story somewhere. If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I read the trilogy. I liked it. I think I gave Caraval 4.25 stars, and then Legendary I gave 4.5 stars, and then Finale I gave 4.25 stars. Again, I cannot tell you what they were about because I forgot them, and I'm so sorry because people like actually love this book, and I love that for them. But again, this was like it wasn't bad. It was just like it was an okay book for me. That's okay, right? I was still kind of like in a book slump at this point. I just want to say that. Let's move on to Spectacular. Spectacular is kind of like a novella made in the Caraval like world, trilogy world. Once Upon a Broken Heart. It's kind of like a what do you call it? It's kind of like a segue between the two books. It's a kind of like a Christmas story thing that happens, and it's cute. It's cute. I liked it because I had it. Well, I had the physical copy, and the physical copy, if you don't know, has like a bunch of pictures and it's illustrated. I got the illustrated version. I kind of liked it. It's cute. But it was an okay book. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was just, it was a novella. I gave it 4.5 stars. No, I'm sorry, I gave it 4 stars because it's a novella, and again, whatever, right? But next on, next off, next in, whatever. Next up, there we go. We have Ren in the Holly Library. This, I believe, is gonna be a 3-book, a trilogy or a quartet. I don't really know, but I do know that there's gonna be another book coming out within the next few years. Ren in the Holly Library. I actually really loved this book. I can't I cannot explain because I think like there was a few videos back where I was like, hey, let's go through all of the books that I have in this box. And so I went through all the books that I had in the box, right? Or that I had like for my TBR for the year, I think like that, something like that. And so Ren in the Holly Library is an urban fantasy heist, morally gray, badass FMC. Oh, a sexy MMC. Oh my gosh. I'm like thinking about the book. Oh my goodness. Listen. We're kind of placed in a city that is New York or is like New York, something like that. But essentially, I kind of forget. But the FMC used to be part of this gang, and then she's also a thief, right? So she was doing this job, and then she ends up like breaking into this guy's house to steal, to steal stuff as a thief does. But little does she know that this person that she's stealing from actually has like really like high. So they have magic too, right? So he like warded his entire house, and so he catches her because of course, and he's like the entire time interrogating her, like, how did you get past my words? And she's like, you had words up? I didn't know that. It turns out her magic is like really interesting, and so I'm not going to spoil anything else because I don't want to spoil the story for you. But I did really enjoy this book. I enjoyed the second book. Oh, so much better, guys. So there, I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil anything, but there is a reason that the books are called the way they are. Ren in the Holy Library, the Robin on the throne. That's kind of like it's kind of like a thing, a plot twist. Like as you're reading the books, you're like, oh, so that's where you were going with this. I love it. But essentially, in the book, in the two books, we have like two really important characters. Like they're kind of like it's hard to explain because you know how like within the year we have like the winter solstice and then the summer solstice. There's like these two entities that end up fighting on those days, and whoever wins depicts the way the seasons are going to be for the next however many months until the next solstice, something like that. But these entities each have their own sidekick, hence the Wren and the Robin, and you figure that out as you go on with the book, and it's just really interesting. I kind of like the way this author thinks, and I'm really excited to read what she has in the future for me because, baby, the art, the plot, girl. If you aren't really a fan of Spice, maybe maybe gloss over some of the spicy scenes, but the actual like the actual relationship that the two like FMC and MMC have, very, very important. But the Red and the Holly Library, I gave 4.5 stars, and then the Robin on the Oak Throne, I gave 4.75 stars. So I'm gonna if you haven't guessed already, I'm wearing a Jinx jacket, sweatshirt, and I love the Arcane universe. It's just amazing. So I'm gonna do a makeup that's inspired by it. Yes, Halloween passed. Doesn't mean I can't do makeup. Right? It doesn't mean I can't do makeup inspired by certain things. And that's just, it's my channel, it's my world. So deal with it, right? So, okay, I'm gonna get started on my makeup and then I'll talk about August. August, there we go. Okay, so the first book, the first trilogy that I read in August was the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. And I've noticed, maybe this is just a me problem. Absolutely, definitely a me problem. But I have a habit of like low-key rating books or enjoying books. Excuse me, oh my gosh, a little bit less if I listen to them on Everand or an audiobook, audio format, platform, whatever. You get what you understand what I'm saying. Than if I read them myself. And I don't know what that says about me. We're not going to talk about what it says about me, but I can say maybe I would enjoy these books just a little bit more if I like actually read them. That's all I'm gonna say. Some of these books, if I rated them lower, it's probably because I listened to them on Everend, except for a couple, and I'll make a point of that if I remember later. So the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy follows the younger sister Evangeline and Jax. Yes. Oh, Bessie. So dead. Okay, so now I'm trying to like, now I understand who the sisters end up with at the end. Okay, so Once Upon a Broken Heart, it's Evangeline and the Prince of Hearts, Jax. There we go. He's like, he's kind of like an anti-hero, not an anti-hero. He's like a antagonist in the Caraval trilogy. And then he and Evangeline end up getting together in the next book, in the next series, and then her and, oh yeah, because it is indeed a plot twist. But what happens to the brother? You know what? It doesn't matter. I can look that up later. If you read the trilogy, you're probably like looking at me like, Jen, girl, get on your shit and stop like fucking around. I'm so sorry. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute since I've read any of these books. And my brain is like one of a goldfish, so leave me alone. Don't believe me, right? Okay, so yeah, Once Upon a Broken Fart. I am so sorry, girl. What is wrong with me? I have no idea. Once Upon a Broken Heart follows Evangeline and Jax, who's the Prince of Hearts. And I don't want to say too much because it is like a continuation of the Caraval trilogy, but it does follow its own thing. They still are within like a competition setting. No? No? Oh, so there's a marriage of convenience, right? Again, I don't really want to spoil too much, but there's marriage of convenience between her and like this prince, and it's not Jax. But I don't know if there's a competition. It doesn't really matter at this point, but regardless, at the end of the day, there's like some other stuff going on underneath this competition possible plot, and her love interest, her marriage of convenience, end up like not being a great guy, and like some other stuff happens. And I just don't really want to spoil it because I think the last book follows like a huge twist where Jax, instead of like, oh my god, you guys, I'm trying so hard not to spoil it because it is like the third book, but you know what, it doesn't really matter. It was a really nice series, and I think the first book I gave it a 4-star. The Once Upon a Broken Heart book I gave a 4-star. Ballad of Never After I gave a 4.5, and the A Curse for True Love I gave it a 4.5. The last book kind of has like, in the title, it kind of has like a really interesting plot twist that happens at the end of book 2. I wasn't really a fan of what happened at the end of book 2, but it's not really my place to say what happened at the end of book 2 because I don't want to spoil it, because it is a big spoiler. But let's just say Jack spent the entirety of the last book pining back after Evangeline. And it's beautiful, and I loved it. That's all I'm gonna really say. Then I dove into the Inheritance games. Now listen, Jennifer Lynn Barnes, you need to put that book out pronto because I'm caught up. I'm already done with the series, your entire thing. I want more. Let's just say that's how I feel about this entire like inheriting games like universe, right? So in the first book, we are following a girl named Avery. she ends up accidentally, no, sorry, she's like at school. She lives a very poor life and it really sucks, but she's doing her best because she's just a girl at the end of the day. But anyway, she's doing her best to try to live life. And one day, um, she receives a summons to the principal's office. And so that's like a really bad thing, right? If you're ever like in grade school at least and you receive a summons to the principal's office, like you're probably in trouble, right? And so she ends up going and it's her older sister and like some random like posh looking guy. And she's like, "What are you doing here? Like why am I here in fact? Why are you here? Why are we all here? Like what are you doing?" And he ends up summoning her to his mansion, house, estate. There we go. It's kind of like giving Crazy Rich Asians vibe, which I really missed that whole series, and I need to get back to it. But being besides the point, stop getting off track and let's talk about what the fuck we're talking about. He ends up summoning her to his estate because apparently his late grandfather passed away, and he left a will, as rich people do tend to, and I guess Avery was mentioned in the will. So the entire time she's like, "What the fuck? I mentioned in a will. I mean, I guess I'm getting something that would be really nice." Because mind you, Avery is very, very poor, and she's currently living in her car because her sister's boyfriend really sucks. So it doesn't really matter because it's not a spoiler that her sister has a boyfriend because the sister deserves to have somebody that she's talking to. But again, it doesn't matter. So listen, everybody in Avery's life ends up with one of the Hawthorne brothers, but that's not a spoiler because that's just what happens in the book. Okay, listen. But yeah, so anyway, she gets summoned to the estate, and I guess she's like just big chilling, right? She's like, I don't really know why I'm here. I'm just here for the vibes. I don't really know what's gonna happen, but maybe something good. Maybe I'll get like $1,000. That'd be like really nice for my tuition that I'm trying to do when I go to college. She doesn't just get $1,000, you guys. I forget the number, and it doesn't really matter because it's such a huge sum of numbers that like a regular person could not spend that number in a single lifetime. Let's just say that it was like 50 million, $50 billion. But getting ahead of myself, Avery ends up hearing the summons, or she ends up answering the summons. She goes to like the super posh estate, and she's like, "What the fuck? Why am I here?" So when everybody, the lawyers and everybody else, like arrives and gets situated, one of the lawyers pulls up. He like a couple people get some things, and a couple people get some things, and a couple people do get some things, but like the entire like actual family, nothing, zilch, absolutely nada. And everyone's like, what the fuck? So who's gonna get the rest of this money? Out comes Avery Grams to get the entire damn pot of dollars. She gets like 50 billion or something like that. Again, like such a huge amount that you would not be able to spend in your single lifetime. And the entire but there are some caveats, something like that, right? She can't spend this money until a certain time. I think it's until she turns like 21 or something like that, or 25. Oh, no. She has to live within this estate for at least a year, and then some stuff else, some other stuff. All of the brothers are like, what the fuck? And the aunts are like, what the fuck? And then I think it's just like the aunts and the brothers, right? And like some other staff members. Yeah. And so then it becomes a question of why does this hell matter? And why the fuck did I not get the money, right? So the brothers are I think there's like seven, or I want to say that there's like seven brothers. They grew up in a very, very, very interesting way, as rich people tend to like raise their kids. But these guys were raised a little bit differently than the other people. They were raised very special. Okay, these are some special beings. Their grandfather every single Saturday would give them a task to complete, as in like a quiz to solve, a mystery to solve, right? You would give them something like, it would like start really small. So they would give him like a Rubik's Cube essentially. But like not just any Rubik's Cubes, it would be like some really interesting Rubik's Cube. But they would have to solve this like Rubik's Cube essentially, and then whoever solved it the fastest won, right? So the brothers were like grew up very competitive with each other, very like they all loved the way that this their grandfather thought, and as a result became like very interesting people, right? So the entire time Avery is just trying to figure out why the fuck she's here, why she matters so much. But honestly, the Inheritance Game series and the Hawthorne Legacy and like the just all of it, like the Grandest Game, like I just love it. It's like like when I first started reading it, I just really enjoyed the series to begin with. I was eating it up breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I was finishing like a book a day. I was like, baby girl, give me more. And then as like the series went on, I started to like it just a little bit less. Like it's still not a book that I would put down. Like it was definitely like in my like reviews in my Goodreads notes, I put like literally unput downable for almost every book. So to get into the technical points, the Inheritance gave it the Inheritance games I gave a 4.5. The Hawthorne Legacy I gave a 4.5. Final Gambit I gave a 4.75. The Brothers Hawthorne I gave a 4.5. The Games Untold I gave a 4 star. I gave a 5 stars. You guys, oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure this is like the last book in the original like Inheritance games. Oh my god, I don't really remember what it was about, but I do remember loving it, right? So I do know that at the end some situations obviously happen because that's again how series go, but like there's a lot of stuff that Avery finds out as she's going on, and you kind of just have to read the book for yourself to figure it out. But at the very end, Avery kind of is like, listen, I have some, like, she's on air, by the way. She's on TV when she's saying this. She's like, listen, I have so much money. And that's like not to brag or anything. I just literally have so much fucking money that I don't know what to do with. So, in order to keep the series going, not literally, but like actually, I'm going to host like a games every single year, a competition, if you will, for random individuals throughout the world, and they will compete in these games for a life-changing amount of money. And so brings on to the next series, right? And so I do want to talk about the next series, the Grandest Games and the Glorious Rivals book that are currently out just right now. I'm not sure when the next book comes out. I'll like, put it up here somewhere, but I will definitely be reading it next year. So I'm going to fish this one eye and then like I'll like, continue to talk about more. Okay, so the eyeshadow is done, and I know it looks crazy, but just trust the process. So I left off, I think, on the Games Untold book, right? So that was a 5 star, definitely loved it. Let's move on, right? Next, I read The Goal, which was part of my monthly book club, book for the summer, like I mentioned earlier. I, again, don't really remember what it's about, but I do remember giving it a 4.75 star, which means I really must have loved it, right? There were probably like a couple of things that I didn't fuck with it, but it was like, it was just shy of a 5 star, right? So it was amazing, it was beautiful, and I loved her, but like there was something missing for it, to keep it from being a 5 star. I can tell you the off-campus series is literally just like a bunch of people on the hockey team that end up finding their love interest, and so it's like their stories and how that happens. So I can tell you that at least what it's about, but specific characters of what it's about, no idea. What do you call it? Then I read my first like real 5 star of the entire year. Mind you, this year has been really just a roller coaster of like kind of like this, love this, not really a 5 star, really don't like that, and then it's just some other stuff, and I was just like, but like I haven't had like a real 5 star in just so long. Like I'm talking like Throne of Glass level book. Like I really must love this book for it to be a true 5 stars, like a god tier book. And that was something that I finally found, and that was The Sword of Kaigen. Now listen, another beautiful book that Jamie has recommended to everybody on her channel. But what I can tell you, it literally is like the Avatar, hear me out, but like based in like the Edo period, kind of in Japan, right? So essentially, each like each family has their own like powers, has their own element that they can control, and these specific like, but also people will tend to marry into specific families to enhance their magical power. And this family that we're following, we get like two perspectives. We get the mother's perspective and the son's perspective. I think we kind of get just a little bit of perspective from the father too, but it's mostly a story coming from like the mother's point of view and the son's point of view. There is like a huge spoiler in this book about what happens to Mamoru, and why did I say it like that? Ew, girl, ew, brother, ew. Anyways, Mamoru and let's just like stay on topic, right? So there's a big thing that happens to Mamoru, who is the son of the wife. I don't really know what her name is. I'm so sorry. But we're not going to talk about it. But basically, after like the first half of the book and that thing happens, the story kind of takes a bit of a change. And like for me, I loved it. It took a second to get into it, but again, loved the book as soon as it like started to like pick up, and I was just like, damn, that's a hefty deal. Okay, so listen. So Edo period era Japan, very, very olden times, and we have this family who essentially can control ice, and they have like typical like whoosh, whoosh, like ice powers where they can like shoot stuff made of like water and ice. And Mamoru, who's part of, I think, I want to say like a sibling, a family of like he has like two or three, I want to say like three or four siblings, but Mamoru's the oldest, and he has a mother who's very like she it's interesting because it was a marriage of convenience between her husband and her, and out came Mamoru and the few children. Because of the way the wife gave birth to these children, she had a really hard time. She had a few miscarriages, and she felt like her wifely duties weren't the best because she thought that she was like the cause of some hardships that she was dealing with, and it really was not. Like, this book deals with a lot of trauma and angst, but essentially going back to Mamoru, you're like following him as like a 14-year-old, and he has so much power. Like, this dude is uber powerful. He's crazy. Like, with his, he's not like actually like mentally crazy. He's just like, he has a lot of power that he's coming into as the son of this guy who has insane power and can use this, like, basically he can make a sword out of ice, and this sword is like the most powerful sword of all or something like that. Like, it's interesting because ML Wang, yeah, that is indeed the author of this book. The way she writes about the like how thin the sword has to be for it to be really be called a whispering blade, which is what it's called, is really interesting because like you hear Mamoru talking about like it has to be like one molecule thick, which, guys, if you're a freaking like STEM major, if you're a science major, you know how thin a molecule is. Like, that is seriously tiny. Like, under a seriously huge microscope would you see one molecule, one atom. But that's how thin the whispering blade, like, sharp edge has to be in order for it to really be called a whispering blade. So he's grown up like understanding that his father has the power to make this whispering blade. And he's like, in school doing like, regular kid stuff, but at home, his father's trying to teach him how to be like him, right? How to be like super powerful to like one day rule the nation and like run the family like it's supposed to be run, right? There's definitely a lot of misogyny in this book, but a lot of like misplaced misogyny, as in this was the way this person was raised, and it only takes until later when this person changes. So the bigger part of this book, I want to say, because there's like a whole bunch of factors. This book is pretty large, but it is a standalone. So the way it ends is the way it ends, unfortunately. But it ends on a HEA, kind of, I guess. But being besides the point, a bunch of people end up invading this, like, basically Japan. And the people who are, it's so interesting because like there's a lot of like things that surround it, like politics and the government keeping secrets, and then like the people in this village having to like comply with the people that are supposedly sent from the government, and they are, but they're not, and it's really interesting. And like the purpose, then the chief of this village, who is Mamoru's father, has to carry himself in a certain way and comply because he is like a government official for he's like the governor essentially for the village. So it's like it's a whole bunch of interesting things, but they're being invaded, and they essentially like their entire freaking village, bro. The way they held it off, the way they held off the attackers, the invaders, and were able to get people to safety, because all of a sudden the government, their way of helping people, their way of helping this village was to drop bombs, literally. And I'm like, yeah, if this is a zombie apocalypse, I get that, but this is not a zombie apocalypse. These are fucking invaders from outside world and whatever the heck. And so your solution is to drop bombs instead of actually bringing people. You'll understand like why the bombs had to be dropped, because of how powerful these forces were. To paint a picture, there's like these wind wielders who are able to create a tornado, and it's insane because wind is really hard to control, right? It's fucking wind. But essentially, this really powerful person is able to take all of his focus and all of his concentration to create a tornado. And then he has people around the tornado who are like basically protecting him because of how much like concentration this guy has to have. And so these are part of the invader territory and the invader team, right? So like coming from that perspective, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. But coming from the opposing side, Mamoru and his whole people and village and dad and mom and everything, seeing that off in the distance and seeing how many of those fucking tornadoes are, that is crazy. And then they realize later, like they originally think like these people surrounding the tornadoes are there to help like build the tornado. It is one guy. It is a single person. The other people are just there to help him keep concentration, as in like keep him safe so that he can concentrate on keeping the tornado up. That is even more insane, and I would be shitting fucking bricks. Like, that's crazy. But again, these people are being invaded, and Mamoru and his father and his brother, who's like the second in command or something like that, they're all fighting off this like this invading army, invading people, and they're like trying to hold the line, and some stuff happens, and people die, and it's really sad. It's definitely a very graphic in how war itself can be graphic, and how like armies invading and pillaging and doing things with women can be really graphic. And so I would definitely go into this book with very have your sweet treats and your coffee and your snuggly blanket and like your favorite show nearby, because you will probably need everything in some more. Grab your freaking emotional support animal and your emotional support plushie and your emotional support pen and all of that, because you will need this. You will need that. This book had me fucking sobbing at the end. Let me just tell you that. In the middle of the book, it had me sobbing. Had me crying, you guys. And I'm just thinking about it. Like, if you know, you know. Mamoru didn't deserve that. That's all I'm gonna fucking say. It's not fair. I know that it was a very big plot point in what happens for his mom, and how she finally stands up to her for herself and to her husband, and like helps change the husband for the better. But leave my boy alone. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about it. I don't want to spoil too much, but if you know, you know. If you don't know, I'm so sorry. You'll read it for yourself, because I'm not telling you. So then I decided, because I accidentally picked this up, but no, I didn't. It was an accident. It was a happy accident. Okay, listen. I saw this book called "There Are No Devils, There Is No Devil" at the bookstore, and I was like, this sounds like a very spicy time. I have no idea what it's about, but I'm gonna fucking read it. Turns out that was the second book. So I had to go looking on the web, on the Kindles, on the Amazons, and trying to find this book. Turns out, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'll put it up here if I'm wrong or not. I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited. So I was able to read these little novellas, and oh my god. Okay, listen. This is a stalker romance. The first book is There Are No Saints. We're following a girl who's an art person. She makes like art and stuff. She's just on her art grind, but she's struggling, right? She's really struggling. And she ends up accidentally. No, wait. No, that's a different book. Yeah. So oh yeah. So she ends up going to this art exhibit, but it's dual POV, right? So you have her POV and you have his. Yes, indeed, yeah, exactly. And she ends up going to this art exhibit, but then it switches over to this other guy, and he's like the MMC, right? He's very, very bad, but it's so good, right? So he's essentially like a morally black. If you picked up on that, you guys, there's somebody screaming outside. Are those bad screams or good screams? I don't know. I don't want to know. I am safe inside of my own house. If there's something bad going on outside, do not let it come inside this house. Bless this space, sage and good omens and good juju, all the stuff, whatever. Regardless, let's get back on topic, right? So we're going to this other guy's point of view, who's the MMC. He's a bit of a killer who uses the people that he kills to he uses them in his art pieces, and it's kind of really interesting, but it's bad. Okay, it's really bad to kill people, right? But in the book, it's fine. We love him. We love him. In real life, would this relationship work out? Absolutely not. But it's kind of really interesting, because coming from this guy's perspective, he has a rival who's only rivals because the rival wants to be rivals, if that makes sense. Like, he's just minding his own fucking business, and this guy's like, hey, bro, you're my rival now. He's like, yes? Question mark. But the main MMC really doesn't like this guy. He really don't fuck with him. He's very like, how do I say this in a very disrespectful way? He's very pompous. He's very stupid, and he's ignorant and like all the bad stuff, right? He does kill as well, but he does it in such a psychotic way, in a very messy way, that our MMC, who's very sophisticated when he does his stuff, it's very methodical. Like, there's a lot of thought that goes into it. There's a lot of planning that goes into it. He's just like, bro, you're disgusting. Like, you're like a fucking slop, and the way you kill is like just disgusting. But at this exhibit, right, during these POVs, like, it's still at the same exhibit. So the MMC and his rival and like other artists are like showing off their art, and so the FMC is like just browsing around. She's like, "Wow, that's cool. It's not in the middle of nothing." And then like a bunch of others, "Oh, that's cool." She ends up like stopping on this one painting by the MMC, and she's like, "Wow, that's interesting." And the MMC ends up seeing her cross the way and catches his eye. She catches his eye, and then he stalks her. He knows it's not romance, but it's fine, right? Fine, it works out. The story ends up going on. He stalks her. He takes her under his wing as his protege. He like makes her into this beautiful artist who like makes really good art and a bunch of money, and then like she like creates a series of like women in like torment and anguish and like basically like badassery and stuff like that. But meanwhile, the rival that isn't actually his, whatever, we're just gonna call him the rival, he's trying to shut this whole thing down because he's not fucking with it. The rival originally sees the FMC and thinks that the MMC likes her, or like he caught her eye, so he's like, I guess that's your type, so I'm gonna give you a gift. He ends up kidnapping the FMC, binds her up in some really, really slutty clothes and stripper heels and all those things, does some things, and she's basically left to die in the MMC's like dumping spot, I guess, as like a gift of some sort. And so that really pisses him off. He doesn't even save her. Like, she has to save herself. It's a whole thing. If you guys want to read it, go read it. It's like less than 200 pages each book, so definitely recommend. I gave both books 5 stars actually, what is really interesting because these books are so short, but I kind of love them. Okay, listen, I don't remember which one I liked better, but I do love the way the FMC comes into her skin, if that makes sense. Like, she's a struggling art person. She wants to be an artist. She wants to be an artiste. She's trying to make that bag. She's trying to be successful. And the way that MMC like brings it out of her to like be so expressive and make these like bold decisions on how to create her pieces are really interesting. Very sexual, but like really interesting. He's very supportive. Okay, he supports his queen. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna like finish up my eyes and everything, and then we'll go into September, and I'll tell you why I only read 4 books. But give me a second. Okay, you guys, something about this look is giving Harley Quinn. You know what it is. It's like literally the blue and pink, but like also Jinx's colors are also blue and pink. But like something about this look really makes me want to rewatch Suicide Squad, the original one, the good one, and then also watch Birds of Prey right afterwards. Is that on Netflix? Because if it is, I will be watching it after this fucking video is made. Because guys, I'm in the mood. Like, I literally have that song. I don't know what it's fucking called. I'll put it up here. But it's one where it's like, I'm fucked up, black and blue. Was paranoid of the abuse. I'm something nobody knows. And guys, I really want to watch that fucking movie now. Oh my god. Okay, anyways, let's finish up this video, shall we? Oh my god. I'm just gonna put my lip on real quick, and then I'll go talk to y'all in a second. Okay, so stay tuned. Stay tuned. Oh, you guys. Okay, listen. Total hack right here. I understand that people know how to do this, but I actually don't. So this was the first time success. Okay, listen. Okay, so spraying your freaking brush and then putting it into the fucking the thingy, the little like the eyeshadow pot, and using that as like a lip liner. Oh yeah, bestie. New secret unlocked. Yes, let's go. Almost done. Give me 1 more second. Okay, listen. Oh, yes, yes, I'm loving this fucking look, you guys. You don't even understand. Oh my gosh. Okay, listen. I love this look so much. You guys don't Bessie. Oh, you guys, I can nut over how fucking cute I look right now. Not even cute, girl. Slaying every fucking man in alive. Listen, okay, let's just fucking stop. I'm gonna put my stuff away, and then we can just sit here like a normal person. Struggle to. And then get this fucking show on the road and finish up this goddamn video so that I can go be a fucking girl with my popcorn, my girly popcorn, my girly pop, my little soda pop. Okay, sorry. ADHD brain is literally going haywire right now because I'm so excited, and that's a cute little combo, right? So anyways. Okay, we only have 1 more month. Let's get our shit together for like 2 seconds and then talk about it, right? I'm gonna take this out. Again, hair is crazy. We know her. She's been here this whole fucking time. We're just gonna keep her like that, okay? Because that's, okay, period. Okay, listen. Let's stop looking super crazy for just a second and get our shit together so we can wrap up this video and talk about the last books during my mid slump that happened in September. So I only read technically 4 books because I already talked about one. Like it's interesting because I think like between midnight of September 1st and midnight of August 30th, 31st, whatever the fuck the last day was, I was finishing up this duology, which is the There Are No Saints and There Is No Devil. So, like I said, we already talked about that, right? So, oh my gosh, what is in my eye? Don't tell me it's mascara. That'd be really scary. Sorry, this is like really bugging me. Hold on. We're just acting crazy right now, and it's fine. I read The Grandest Game, gave it a 4.5 star. I also listened to these on audiobook, so again, they could be what do you call it? Rated higher. There we go. They could be, but 4 star and above is pretty good to me. So Grandest Game, give it a 4.5. These are like the beginning trials of the Grandest Game, which is like what Avery was talking about in before. This goes into the same universe as the Inheritance games. We meet some people at the end of the series that kind of play a part into this game. So girl, the morally gray people up in here, oh my god, Rohan, he could show up right now and we'd have a beautiful time in the bed, I'm just gonna say. Whoever ends up with him, oh, baby girl's gonna be a happy woman. Anyways, being besides the point, okay. Rated that at 4.5 stars, loved it. Glorious Rivals kind of fell off just a little bit, but it still was nice enough to get a 4.25 stars. I'm not going to talk about it too much besides the fact that they are in the Grandest Game. They are currently still competing. They do finish it at the end, but something happens, so technically it's not done, right? Because some characters come to fuck some shit up. And hold on. Oh, yes, baby girl. Oh, yes. Oh my god, you guys, listen, I just had to do it. Oh, fuck yeah. Fucking yeah, dude. Anyways, I could have done this for Halloween, but I didn't do anything for Halloween because I was working. So this is the Halloween. Okay, listen, okay, but regardless, I'm gonna talk about you later. Okay. I have a mirror right here, so it goes with the craziness, right? Just kidding, something. Girl, get your shit together. Stop it. Okay, listen. I also read during the month of September The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. But before that, no, maybe after that, I don't really know because time is just irrelevant in my glorious days. But regardless, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue follows Addie. She's born like a super long time ago, like back in the Pilgrim days, low-key. And she ends up going into this forest one day to escape her arranged marriage because, girl, same. I don't want to be fucking married off to some guy that's super much older than me. Hell no. And essentially, what happens is she makes a deal with the devil. Basically, not really, but kind of. And so her like deal is that I want to live. She wants to live, but she wants to live, like actually live, not like survive, not like live to be 100 whatever the fuck years old. She wants to live and enjoy life, and so she ends up making the deal, and she can have the longest life that she wants. She doesn't grow old. She doesn't age. She doesn't die. And I'm pretty sure she heals quickly. Yeah. So she heals. Like, even if she's sick, she can die. So she's like, dying is not a thing for her. She's like not even in the room with us. But the caveat to that is that nobody will remember her the second that she walks out the door. So say she met me, I'd be like, hey bestie, your name is what? Okay, cool. And she can't say her actual name. So all of her interactions with people that she's had, she goes by a different name because she can't like say her actual name. She's had like many lovers, many like people that she's been with, had one night stands with, but every time a door closes, like if she went to the restroom and came back, I would not remember her. I'd be like, bitch, who the fuck are you and why are you in my house? And it's really interesting because she's had a lot of issues because of this. Like, people have helped her and then she'll be like, oh, bet I'm gonna help you, but the second that person leaves Addie, they don't know who the fuck she is. And then even if Addie tries to explain, no, you were about to help me real quick, and they'd be like, no, the fuck, you're weird as hell. Go off. Be gone, peasant type shit. And then one day, I think in 2014, yeah, she ends up walking into a bookshop steals a book that's in Greek of some sort. I think it's like the Iliad or something like that, but it's in Greek. And she's like, I haven't read Greek in a while. Let's like, brush up on our Greek, right? She walks out of the bookstore with the book in hand because she's expecting that the book tender, the store tender, um, the shop tender is not gonna remember her, right? So he follows her out the door and he's like, hey bro, you stealing from my store, like my book back. And she's like, it's fine, like, the faster I walk, maybe they won't remember me, whatever the fuck else. But this person ends up remembering her and she just doesn't know. So they have like a couple more interactions where she's like, how do you remember me? And he's like, well, I just do. And she's like, that's crazy as fuck. And so they end up having like a relationship, but it turns out he has his own issues. I feel like everybody has their own issues going into a relationship, and he remembers her because of this specific issue. He has a thing of his own, and we're not going to talk about what it is, but let's just say that that's why he remembers her. The ending of Addie LaRue is very bittersweet, but it's also girl boss. It's also like female rage in the quietest form. It is like, I am planning for your downfall, and it's going to be so methodical, planned out, and sweet. Oh, you won't even see it coming when you do. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'm eating this shit up, right? So definitely a 4.5 stars. Loved this book. Which brings us into our last book of the month. You guys, I don't know what it was with this book, because on paper it was a book that I should have liked, but I did not like this book whatsoever. Also, let me just take this off, right? Because I've had this on the whole time, and I feel like it'd be more comfortable if you guys could hear me like this, right? Let me know in the comments if it does, if it makes a difference. But Ninth House is another book that Jamie Falk loves. And I, on paper, would love this book. We have dark academia, we have Yale, we have something like Harvard and Yale, like some like really prestigious school. We have secret societies, we have like phantoms and ghosts and beasties and all these like spooky, scary skeleton things. And I'm like, bro, that sounds really interesting. We're essentially following a girl who ends up getting accepted to this like prestigious school, and she like one of her conditions of getting accepted is that she has to be this like, I guess you could call it like a warden, where she's like basically she's like the handyman, the person that like keeps shit from going crazy. So when these like kids and these people in these societies are doing these weird shit in the basement, she's there standing guard to keep the ghosties at bay. Does that make sense? She's like a phantom keeper essentially. But essentially, all of the spirits that have not passed over, she's able to see them. And her job as like this warden campus, she's not like a warden, but it's the only word that I can come up with right now. And I don't feel like going to search for it, so you're not going to get anything up here, baby girl. But essentially, she's been able to see ghosts since she was a very young child, and she's like called this specific thing that you find out later. It's like a plot twist too, and it's a spoiler, so it doesn't really matter at this moment. But her like mentor guy ends up disappearing, and she's trying to figure out where the fuck he went, while also saying that he just went on a trip to everybody that she passes by, but also trying to keep this fucking school from trying to kill itself. So a bunch of stuff happens, as it does, but this book just took me too fucking long to read. I had no will to pick this book up. I was only reading this at work on my breaks. Mind you, I get an hour break, and I was probably playing Genshin Impact most of the time. So the fact that this book took almost 2 weeks to read and finish, let's just say that I was not a heavy camper, and I was in a book slump, and I was not feeling it. I also had another DNF this month, and I'm not even going to count it because I only probably read like 40 pages of the whole book. Y'all, that is a record. And it's really interesting because it was my own fault, right? Like, I was already in a book slump, and I tried reading a book that I just didn't really care about, as in, like, I tried reading outside of my genre. Girl, it is not your genre. It's part of the genre. And okay, listen, this is stop, okay, right? So I tried to read Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee, right? The same person who wrote The Mockingbird, To Kill a Mockingbird. And on paper, again, it seems like something that I would really like. It was my first lit fic, so red flag number one: don't read something out of your comfort zone if you're already in a slump, if you're not sure if you're gonna like it. Especially since it's not fast paced, because it's not supposed to be fast paced. It's literary fiction. You're supposed to enjoy it for the fiction part of the literacy stuff. Make that make sense, right? But essentially, we're following a girl who comes from New York to go back to her town. I want to say it's like in the South somewhere, but she's a city girl, right? She's a city girl, and she goes back to her town She's like in her mid-30s, something like that. She's not married yet, and so her family's trying to get her to hook up with somebody and marry them or some shit like that. I only read like 15 or 30, no, sorry, 50 pages of this, so it's like I can't tell you much more than that, because I didn't read the rest. So that was a DNF, and I didn't even rate it because it wouldn't have been fair. Um, if you ever read Go Set a Watchman and you liked it, I'm so sorry. But those are all of the books that I read in the oh, by the way, quick little thing though. Ninth House, I gave it 3.5 stars because I didn't like it. Yeah. Okay, but yeah. Those are all the books that I read in 3 months. Let me count them up real quick. 5 plus 11, that's 16, plus another 11, that's 27. Yeah, it's 27. So I read 27 books in 3 months. Not bad. I feel like if I didn't have that slump in September, that huge heavy slump that I was not having the will to read anything, which is really interesting because again, like in October, I read 16 books. That definitely more than made up for what I read or did not read in September. But I feel like if I wasn't in a reading slump in September, I would have read a lot more books. But comment down below how many books you've read since September, how many books you've read since July, how many books you've read since August, and what was your favorite one? If you like this video, go ahead and like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss when I upload a brand new video. And thank you for hanging out with me. Really appreciate it. I know I just be babbling on this channel. I try to keep my shit together, but it's just not. She's not even in the room with us. The shit that's together, not to here. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.